call these like ethereal currents. So he's also used that term, like that there's a northern ethereal current and then a southern ethereal current. It says here, I'll just read this. It says the sun's course. The sun is a comparatively small electrical body carried by the circulating inward. It talks about the spiraling in and out. It says key principles of Smith's model. The Earth is flat, stationary, and a vast magnet. There are two geographic poles, north and south. Meridians converge toward both poles. The ether above Earth circulates in two vortices, opposite directions. Stars revolve around their respective poles. The sun migrates between the two vortices in an annual cycle. Celestial and terrestrial poles are related, but not always exactly coincident. Then I'll just read this very last part. It says, this is a quote from him. We are compelled to accept two ethereal vortices instead of one to account for the facts of observation of the sun's motions north and south. Then he explains it as like cogwheels, like two cogwheels and so on. But yeah, I just wondered if you had heard about or knew about all of that. MC Toon came in here like a week or two ago, and I was mentioning that Lady Blunt was basically wrote about the dual pole and how there's two poles, and then he said that he had never heard that, and so I brought this one reference to him, and then he had also showed me one that in earlier years, like she was writing about the single pole one, but she was actually also like saying issues with it as well. So I just wondered if you knew that like in the movement back then, it was like there was like from single pole to dual pole, like a transition, or at least in some people's thinking. I mean, obviously people still have their thoughts, but I just wondered like, did you know that the idea that like history might be repeating itself now in terms of that?
That's interesting. I just think that model mixes optical phenomena with magnetic phenomena. So I think they're two different models, and both in a sense have those two aspects to them, but they're not conjoined together on a map with like that.
Well, that map right there is, I think, something just the AI made. That's not like Albert Smith's map or anything. I don't think he had like a map that he published that I'm aware of. I think the AI just made that kind of graphic. I think it just more was pulling from his book, which
Yeah, I wasn't talking about specifically that map.
yeah. So I don't
I just
necessarily
meant
agree
like
that
taking the two star rotations and turning it into like a physical map.
yeah. Here, I'm posting this too. These are the screenshots from that book that talk about how there's two poles, the dual pole, and then that's the actual PDF to the whole book, Zetetic Astronomy. Because that's the one they seem to talk about it in. It's pretty descriptive there, talking about how there is a 24-hour sun in the south and all of that. But I hear you on the optical, but yeah, I mean, I guess that's a whole discussion. I don't know if we're gonna dive into the whole thing, but um, yeah, because like if you have, I mean, see, I've never claimed that dual pole map. Like I'm not out here being like that's the map, because there could be more to the whole puzzle that we don't fully have. But the argument I usually make, I know that you've kind of associated me, and other people have too, with dual pole, but I've never really claimed that map or claimed that I have mapped the Earth at all. Obviously, because I haven't. So I mean, I have to, yeah, I haven't independently mapped the Earth. But yeah, it's just, I mean, the argument I have in terms of the GPs, I think is a strong one that like there's one GP for every star. And if that's the case, then those GPs would be transferred to the ground. And if there's two vortexes in the sky, it'd be two vortexes on the ground. And unless there was more than one GP to where you could have some kind of like optical reflection, I don't see any other way that it wouldn't be like a grid from sky to ground. That's a really quick way of saying it, but that's one of the arguments in terms of the GPs of the stars.
I just don't like dual pole because I think Gatebreaker is stupid and he likes the dual.
By the way, I don't know why you blocked me, but it's all right.
Who Q opted?
Yeah, I know why, but it's all right.
You're crying about like all this the Witsit stuff.
I wasn't crying about it.
Dude, you were on like servers all week DMing me and shit.
No, I was just saying you basically teamed up with the Globers to dogpile on him, and that was it.
Would you feel bad if you found out Whitsitt is just a regular guy and he just is who he is? Because I mean, at the beginning you kind of liked him. You almost kind of like, I don't know if I want to say look up to him, but you were kind of like a fan of
Fucking
him.
worshipped him. I'll
Well,
say
that's
it.
the problem because like Wesley G, Iceman, McToon, Roger, these guys are all Globers. We get why they did it. You, on the other hand, there was different expectations out of you, right? But I get it. You teamed up with him. You thought it was gonna like get you clout
I
and make your
don't
channel bigger, and you're gonna like expand from it. And you know, it worked out to be the opposite. So
Oh
look up
shit.
to any
Well,
guys, but I was learning from him.
did you
No,
admire
I'm
him?
saying, did you admire? Did you admire? Did you admire the his way of with words? No, but I'm saying, would you feel
This is
bad?
an annoying time to be lagging.
Yeah, you are lagging pretty bad.
Riggs messaged me and he says he didn't make any death threats and nobody's banned from his server. So
Can we bring him in here?
I'll
Hear him
prove
out?
that he's.
well, he's banned from here. That's the only issue.
I'm banned right now.
No, he says you're not banned.
I'll prove it.
So on a scale to 1 to 10, how much did you admire Whitsitt? Quap.
11.
That's what I'd say. I guess.
Not as much as I admired your mom.
Oh, those jokes don't land when you're lagging.
I know that was like a very muffled. Your mom, is that is that what we got out of that?
Yeah.
You're gay.
All right, but Q-Op, your reason earlier about the dual pole is because you said something about Gatebreaker, which obviously was just some joke. But I mean, do what? Like, if you haven't mapped the whole Earth either, and you don't know for sure, and you're just kind of like the AE map is like one possibility kind of thing. I'm wondering why you wouldn't think of the dual pole as pretty amazing when you have like the whole like just with ether, positive, negative, electromagnetics. It's like the same, like the sky is the same pattern as like a ferrocell and electromagnetic field. Why is that not like more exciting that the sky is actually a massive like magnetic field, which would have two poles the way a field does, positive and negative?
The AE I just got on my Wi-Fi. It's like a ghetto Wi-Fi, but it's Wi-Fi. The AE model has a dual pole, and it's got the same toroidal geometry from a different vantage point.
How is it dual pole like vertically, like above and below?
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I mean the AE is cool, like the northern centered. It is like there's an elegance to it, the way that land all comes out from the middle.
and then like I said, the two rotations of stars. It's just an optic. I believe it's just an optical effect that kind of just happens based on like how far south you are. Like the equator obviously has like a weird star trails, but so there's like it's like optics mixed with like different medium at different points in how far south you are.
All right, but if you're if you're in South Africa and you're looking at Sigma Octantis, and then someone else is in South America looking at Sigma Octantis, someone else in Australia, if they all walk towards Sigma Octantis, are they going to end up at the same place?
I don't think so.
Okay, but if everyone's in the north, like someone's in Texas, someone's in Russia, whatever, and they all looking at Polaris and they all walk to Polaris, are they going to end up in the same place?
Probably.
Okay, so even though we have two poles, one of them you'd end up at the same place, the other one you would not, is what you're saying.
All at his mom's house.
Is that where your mom's house is, and you're just trying to keep us from getting there? Trying to throw us off?
She's a nice lady.
I agree.
She's at the South Pole with like the opposite of Santa Claus.
The question All Glory asked earlier, there's definitely a tier list when it comes to flat Earth.
Guess we'll find out.
I mean, there's
Well,
like we can't deny it.
My response to that is, wouldn't that be subjective to different people though? Like what they see as
Yes.
top or low tier, I guess.
Correct. It is subjective. People will rank different people different levels, but the reality is we could kind of give a benchmark of who, you know, who sits on the top tiers and who sits at the bottom, right? I guess one benchmark would be number of followers, right? For example, that would be one benchmark.
What
The
if
second
what if you
yeah.
think what if you think TFE is real or TFE is fake, and you're right or wrong on that? Does that put you into a different tier if you're wrong on it?
So just to clarify, you believe in the 24-hour sun, but then it ends up being fake?
No, I'm saying like, okay, from the perspective that it is real, are people saying it's fake?
Yeah.
Would they be in a different tier? Or from the perspective that it was fake, would you know what I mean? Like, I'm saying it
Yeah.
more neutrally, but like, would that put someone in a different tier if they're right or wrong about that one event?
It'd have to.
Well,
Quap would be like the top dude.
yeah, the idea is
Or the
because
bottom. He's taking a gamble. It could be the bottom.
Yeah.
well, at this point, the
It's like an
Globers
all
are
or
saying
nothing.
it's At this point, the Globers are saying that you can. It's one of those things where you can't really deny it anymore, right? This is what the Globe's position is. So it's
Well-
like the flat earthers that still claim we can see a 24-hour. So to answer you, it depends on what the argument is, right? Like if your argument is we can't even go to the south and all that still, then that's a different level than saying, you know, I don't believe there's a 24-hour sun or like
Right, but if there is a 24-hour sun there, I mean, the thing is, the sun in the south, like, it arcs off. You know, when you're looking west, it arcs off like to your left, basically, when you're looking west, and then it rises, you know, to your right, like southeast and southwest, which it does the opposite in the north when it arcs around the north. So it's already like arcing towards the south. And then when they were in Punta Arenas, you can also just look at this on like webcam footage. You don't even have to use like when they were there. You can just look at like a webcam from South America, and you can see that like the days are very long. Like they only had like a couple hours of night, and in the south it was like glowing where the 24-hour sun was, you know, at that time. So there's like all this activity of the southern sky being like glowing even after the sun technically does set. It's like glowing. Then the days are really long. And if that thing was going around an AE map, like a north centered type map, you know, it would be like dark. It would be expected to be dark for a very long time, you know, as it's going all the way around the rim. Now you could bring in like some kind of coffee cup caustic kind of idea, you know, maybe to try to like sort of try to counter that. But the sun is already arcing that way as well. So I'm just saying like there's a truth of the matter of whether there is or isn't a 24-hour sun there. So I'm saying like if there is one there, then a flat earther saying there's not one there, like where would that like how would that affect their position?
I think with the evidence that we have, especially like Whitford and Jaron going down and all the video and stuff, I don't think there is a reason to say there isn't a 24-hour sun. Now, does that mean the Earth is a globe? No, but you know, there's definitely they went somewhere and they observed the 24-hour sun, right? Now, the thing with that, because I asked Nathan Oakley this, and his response basically to me was the reason why he thinks Jaren is a shield is because he said Jaren debunked the Gleason's map with me 10 years ago. That's what Oakley told me. So, like everyone keeps referring to the Gleason's map. It's like if they're saying they debunked it 10 years ago, why are we still talking about this map?
Well, yeah, I mean, it just kind of came up. I think QOP is often seems like a proponent of that single pole and that there's no 24-hour sun. So, and I guess like Flat Earth Banjo, I think has
Not a
that.
single pole.
Yeah, not a single pole. Okay, but north centered. What's the best name for it then? What?
Yeah,
which-
North Pole centered is good.
Yeah, the North Pole centered.
Yeah, but you got to understand when they're asking you about tier system, like they view Q up as this crazy, like unstable
Bro, it's
flat
so much
earther, right?
data.
That's it. That's his reputation, right? Like this guy's
Yeah, who cares?
literally taking the video and saying there's a dot in the sky, and therefore they didn't go down there, right? That's
That
his
is such a
evidence.
strong a dot in the sky.
Yeah, yeah. You have one of your videos. There's literally a dot in the clouds, and you're saying this dot is making the whole video fake, right?
Okay, that's
It's a
just
bit
such a bad. It's
hyperbolic.
like such a watered down straw man. It's like a.
But you know exactly what I mean.
Of course, I know what you're
So,
trying to
anyways, the
say.
point, the
You're
point of
trying
this, the
to say
point of
what
this to
I.
answer you is that there's
Don't
going to be
dismiss
flat
it.
earthers who still deny the 24-hour sun, and there's going to be flat earthers who accept there's a 24-hour sun, right? That's the
Wait,
point.
Pusher, you saying Cube saw a dot in the video and he says it's fake because he saw a dot?
Listen, you already know I'm like exaggerating, obviously, when I'm making this point. He knows exactly what I mean, but essentially, yes. Like there's visual issues with the cloud and all that, and he's saying based on those, it's fake. For me personally, like that's not
Yeah.
enough evidence for me to say these guys faked it.
Okay, well, let me ask this to
Yeah.
queue up real quick. Queue up, like, let's just say, like, the world is crazy and there actually is a 24-hour sun in the South, right? Let's just say that's the case and, you were wrong that it wasn't, there was things about that whole thing was a psyop, I agree or whatever, but let's just say there is a 24-hour sun. That's why they knew they could go down there and put all their eggs in that basket, regardless of them looping the video and all the artifacts and everything else that's on. Let's just say there is a 24-hour sun, then would you consider the dual pole?
I think I've asked him this. Q up, are you at your mic? He was lagging earlier, but I think
So
you said you
I'm
would,
just
right?
trying to think. The hypothetical is that I mean, if your hypothetical is that there is a 24-hour sun, I don't know how
Yeah.
I would. And but they're faking the footage. They make the footage is fake. How would I have? How would I find out that it's fake? I mean that it's
Well, I'm
real.
saying, like, just hypothetically, let's say hypothetically, regardless of TFE and all that, there's a 24-hour sun. Let's just say they put all their eggs in that basket because they knew there was a 24-hour sun, regardless of the TFE. If there is a 24-hour sun, objectively, then would you consider the dual pole?
If it was proven to me that there was a second 24-hour sun,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yep. There you go. Okay. So I mean, why would they put all their eggs in that basket is the other question.
What do
They
you
didn't
mean?
have
The
to fake
globe
it.
model. The globe
Like, if
model
there was no
requires that.
24-hour sun, why would they bring
Okay,
attention to there not being a 24-hour sun? Like, if that was the big secret, that there is no 24-hour sun, then why would they bring all this attention to the idea that there is a 24-hour sun and fake it when that was just an assumption people had all along anyway?
bro, it's about the globe. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's not about.
I'm saying
What do you?
that faking it is like they hinged all their bets on people believing in this fake 24-hour sun when they didn't even need to do that. They put all their eggs in that basket of this fake 24-hour sun being believed. Otherwise, the globe is debunked. If someone were actually able to prove that they faked the 24-hour sun, which is totally possible because all you have to do is get somebody down there and show the sun setting rather than having it be a 24-hour sun. Get multiple people that show the sun sets, it actually isn't a 24-hour sun, right? That's now on the table for to be done, regardless of how hard you think that might be, right? But now they've hinged all of the globe model on that not ever happening. Nobody ever proving that the sun sets. That
Yeah,
they
it's
just
easy for
believe
them to
this
keep
fake
us within the
24-hour sun. They
60th
put
degree
all
south
their eggs in
latitude.
that basket. They didn't need to do that.
It's a Hunger Games circle, dude. It's not hard for them to keep us inside the circle.
All right, but I
The-
think Dave, I think
That's
his
your idea, but do you understand what I'm saying?
all right, but I think from his side, he might think that okay. All right, so there's just different angles to this. Like from the perspective that it's not a globe, it's not an AE map, the north centered, and it is a dual pole. From that perspective, they could have used used the actual fact that it is there to support their globe, and then number two, sold people the false AE map. I mean, it is interesting that in the 1800s, like it was all like north centered, a lot of the thinkers back then, and then there were people starting to be like, oh wait, there is a 24-hour sun there. We have to incorporate for the second pole. So like, was that a psyop of the AE map, the north center back then? And then people were actually figuring out like, wait, we've been lied to, because that's a good way to discredit flat
I can
earthers.
legit say, Gio, that I had never heard of any flat earther talk about a dual pole prior to TFE.
Well, they did in 1904, dude. There was a whole
Yeah.
dual pole. There was the Universal Zetetic Society were dual pole flat earthers essentially, and they were going up against like the Robothamists and the other like North Center people, and they were trying to like debunk each other, and it was a whole thing back in like the early 1900s, late 1800s.
And,
So
and what was the group that came
Plus,
up with the
hey,
dual
plus,
pole? Did they
hey,
get a
just the
picture of their
GPS of
map?
the sun. Just the GPS of the shot of the sun, right? If you look at the GPS of the sun, it's a 24-hour sun in the south at that time of year. That's just the basic fact.
Yeah, but there's a few points here that we're not talking about, and that is that if you have a 24-hour sun, it doesn't work on the Gleason's map, but it does work on the globe's map, and so does on the concave model, by the way, if you believe
Well,
in
it works
that.
on the
But
dual pole.
yeah, it's
It
like
works on the dual
technically
pole.
like dual pole, planar, globe, and I guess technically concave would all account for a 24-hour sun in the south. So what I'm saying about QOP, I don't know exactly. I mean QOP, if you want to say your position, but it's like okay, from the perspective that the AE map is a psyop and the globe is a psyop, then potentially they would run this thing of like trying to tell people there is no 24-hour sun there, and then Duffy and these guys go and it's like okay, there there's other evidence of it too. It's not just those guys, but they made a whole hoopla kind of event of it. But QOP is, if your position's not that, then your position would be that it isn't a globe, it is an AE map, that it is a north centered, and they just fake all of it to sell the globe. Is that your take?
They fake all of what, the 24-hour sun in the south?
Yeah, that it's all fake in order to
They've
sell
been,
the globe. That's what
yeah,
that's your position.
yeah, they've admittedly faked like two of them. They admittedly edited, and I think they got caught faking one, right?
okay, so just to be clear, like, are you just denying the evidence and saying they faked it and it still exists, or it doesn't exist at all either? Like, you
Bro,
don't
if you
think there's a
don't know that,
24-hour
like,
sun down there, right?
bro, you can just not talk if you don't know anything that we're talking about.
Well, QOP, dude, back in the late
Well, what's your
1800s,
position?
like back in that early 1900, late 1800 time, it seemed like like a lot of the people lived in the North, and so they had those North-centered maps. And it seems like from some of the writings, like Albert Smith, and they're basically saying like, that they're like they were getting more evidence of like the Antarctic explorers and of a 24-hour sun there. So it's kind of like it's not just like TFE that did this. Like it, you know what I mean? Like it's all like maybe history is repeating. But I'm saying even back then, those guys felt like they were getting more evidence about the 24-hour sun and all of that back then. So I'm just saying like,
Well,
anyways.
within how I think the resets went, that's exactly when they would start, faking globe stuff anyway. So maybe those flat earthers are the ones falling for the fake globe, trips that
Yeah,
aren't
but
actually
the
happening. And
reality is, after all
why
this
is it
stuff
your
that's
time,
out,
dude? You talk so much and you're already talking.
okay.
What is wrong with you, dude? I was like 2 sentences in. What's wrong with you?
Maybe he just thought you were done. Just go ahead. It's all good. Just say your point.
Bro, I don't know what I was saying, dude.
Hey, QOP,
Well,
let's say like objective reality. Let's
well,
just
let me
say like objective reality is attainable at some point. Like they're hinging on objective reality never being found out. Like somehow in the future, like maybe like through AI or whatever, the objective reality is either that there is no 24-hour sun or that there is a 24-hour sun, right? Now they're hinging everything about the globe model on nobody ever obtaining the objective reality that there is a 24-hour sun. However they do it, whether it's through, people actually going down there and showing it setting or whatever, like they didn't need to do that. If there was no 24-hour sun, to bring attention to it would be the stupidest thing they could ever do by
Bro,
faking it. But I see that you see it kind of like, well, I see that you see it kind of like them faking the moon landing. Like you see it as that big a psyop. Like if they faked the moon landing and it was obvious, which is what made a lot of flat earthers, right? Because they see that the moon landing was fake and then they and led them to flat earth possibly, right? So in this case, they could see that they faked the 24-hour sun and then it led them to the AE map or whatever. And that's how you see it. It's that big a deal. Like they hinged all of it on everybody believing this 24-hour sun, even though they admitted that they had to loop it. And those were all admitted now because they looped it because they didn't have the right, they couldn't get the full 24 hours, so they looped it. Now we know that's a fact, right? So they looped it. Doesn't mean that there's no 24-hour sun, but you're saying that the looping of it proves they faked it, right? And we
Well, it's
were
just
also given the
one of the
Anthony
times that
Powell
they
stuff.
faked it.
Yeah, that's a good conclusion possibly, but it could just be that they had to loop it because they couldn't get the full 24-hour sun, so they did that because, and maybe it was even deeper than that. And this is what I think. I think they were happy that people doubted it because there is objectively a 24-hour sun. So any of those mistakes or any of that suspicion was in their favor because they had flat earthers divided over whether it was fake or not. And then people were like, oh, it's totally fake. Look at these artifacts, blah, blah, blah. And they loved it because if there is objectively a 24-hour sun, then they just say, oh, yeah, all flat earthers just don't believe anything. And then they could just, yeah, people can go down there and prove there's a 24-hour sun from here on out. And flat earth were stupid to ever doubt it, just like they were to doubt the moon landing and all those associations. They love that you doubt it because they know objectively there is a 24-hour sun. That's my opinion.
Yes. I'm the one falling for the tricks. Yep.
All right. Well, let's
You
hear.
and maybe other people.
Well, Dave, hold on. Just give him a sec.
Which are the smallest the smallest minority of people, right? Good job.
Well, no, it was part of what went into it. I mean, they know there's a 24-hour sun. I can show you there's 24. The GPs of the sun prove there's a 24-hour sun. I don't need TFE to show me there's a 24-hour sun. E1 knew there was a 24-hour sun just by doing the GPs of the sun. He had no idea about TFE. I had to tell him about that after he already figured it out with the dual pole map and everything else. So regardless if TFE even existed, I already knew.
Right, so can you tell me?
E1, and we can look up the GPs of the sun, and it'll show objectively, yes, there is a 24-hour sun in the south.
Regardless, can you tell me what happens when you circumnavigate east and west, and what happens with satellites that are circumnavigating east and west?
Yeah, the satellites, you haven't watched any of the E1 videos, but yeah, he shows the satellites. They're using the electromagnetic field to deploy the satellites, and they'd have to have a different charge for the satellite. He shows it with his night vision camera. He shows the satellites in the sky and shows that he knows exactly where they would be and how that they're either in the north or the south, and they're using the electromagnetic field just like the sun and the planets and everything else circuit through, right? They're using that to deploy real satellites, and that's why they also love that most flat earthers.
You're not answering my question, dude. You're
all satellites are balloons.
Yeah, let's just.
You just asked about satellites. I was explaining satellites.
I said, how do they go east and west on that map?
They go around in a circle, just like with the AE map. East and west is around in a circle, right? If you're on an AE map, it's the same idea because you go around in a circle, and that'd be east or west depending on clockwise or counterclockwise. But for the dual pole, there's that actual east and west direction and north and south, as well as the directionality around the poles, which gives you the clockwise or counterclockwise east and west, as opposed to the cardinal directions. And that's the way the whole thing's set up. So if they started with an electromagnetic field and you see it looks like a flat ball, then they realize they can make the flat ball look like a 3D ball and tell us there's no more land and no more water and everything else.
Bro, you say so much other random shit.
Look, this is
just watch the E1 videos. Actually give it a chance instead of being so dead set on them faking the TFE and putting all your eggs in that basket.
How am I dead set?
At some point, you might realize it's a mistake.
I'm not dead set on anything. I just show what I found, and they're faking that one too.
Okay. So
you have to consider the alternative. I'll just consider the alternative queue up for a minute. Entertain that for a minute, and then think, oh, okay, if there is a 24-hour sun, then I have to consider the dual pole.
And I think in simple terms is like it's very simple when it comes to this. It's either when you say they faked this, it's either you believe that these guys are the ones who just faked it and there is a 24-hour sun, or you actually believe not only that they faked it, there is no 24-hour sun, right? Like you have to make your stance clear.
Bringing that up, like that's so hard for you to wrap your head.
Yeah, because we have to see what we're working with here, right? Like if you don't believe there's a 24-hour sun at all, then that's a different argument.
Saying it out loud because everyone else knows.
Well, no, I mean, but you're.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, I'm just saying you're going dual pole if you see one there eventually, if you go yourself or if there is a 24-hour sun. So I guess
he just doesn't want to answer it.
It's a matter of time. I guess it's just a matter of time until you confirm it for yourself. But I mean, it sounds like because you said, that you would. I mean, you'd basically be in the same boat as like anyone who's accepted it now of like in terms of what. Although there's still the people there's still some of the ideas though with the AE map with like. Like a reflection on the outside or some kind of optical.
Because in their model, the 24-hour sun works, right? They don't have to prove to you how it works because it does. In the AE map, it doesn't work. Now, that doesn't mean because there's a 24-hour sun, the Earth is a globe, but they do have a model that backs up the Antarctica continent having a 24-hour sun. So again, what I'm asking is, if you say there is a 24-hour sun and these guys just didn't go down there, that's one thing that we have to work with. And but if you
I'm not
say,
saying that, dude. What is wrong with you? It's
okay, so
fake,
are
and I
you
don't believe it
saying there's
exists,
no 24-hour sun at all? Is that what you're saying? What are you saying then?
bro.
At some point, you got to listen to Quap.
Yeah, he
At
said
some
he
point.
doesn't think there's a 24-hour sun there.
Well, because he talks over me talking, and then he asks the same question over and over again. He says he's watched my videos, but my videos have the answer also, so it's just weird.
But does he understand what he's saying here? Like, if you're gonna say flat out, there's no 24-hour sun, I don't believe any of what these guys say, right? That's essentially the argument you're making here. Like, some of the
No,
top flat earthers in the world don't even go with this argument because it's dumb.
that's yeah. Is that an argument?
What actual percentage? Like, I know that when it first happened, there was a fair amount of people saying it was fake. But what do you guys? What is the percentage now? Is it like 10%, 15? What is the, or is it higher than that? 50-50? Like, what are the percentage that
Who
people are?
cares, dude? Literally, with everything in life, the less people that are involved in like some topic, the more interesting it is. Like music, the best music is the one that nobody likes. You know, psytrance, nobody listens. Like most people don't. Oh, psytrance is kind of big right now, but like it's obviously not mainstream at all. Mainstream is always like the worst thing. Mainstream health, mainstream music, mainstream art. They just literally just look at three splashes of paint on whatever. Uh, it's just like that with everything. So it just happens to be that the most the least supported thing is usually the truth, and that's just happens to be the case almost always.
Well,
I'd say
and for flat Earth, it would be that the dual pole is the least popular, I guess. I mean, there's not a ton of dual polars. There's like what, 10 that even like consider it? Maybe
Well,
20. More.
maybe that's true, but I would say more people are going to believe that are going to fall for it being a real thing.
Well, it's also not just their trip. I mean, there's a ton of other like footage from Union Glacier, like whether you think all that's fake or not too. But there's like a bunch of other people that like obviously I've talked about where they've went skydiving and they took footage and stuff. So like, are you suggesting all that's fake too? All the footage? Because I mean, TFE is only one little tiny percentage of the overall footage that exists online. Like if you go to YouTube, type in Union Glacier, you'll have pages upon pages of people's videos from there.
No, nothing's fake about. I mean, most of the footage happens at one time a year. It doesn't show the sun circling all day long, so it's not. It's the only thing in contention that isn't actually happening.
Well, I found that one footage. Remember that 360 camera footage that I found of Union Glacier? That was a 24-hour sun. There's that one, and then there's a bunch of other cuts of it going behind that southern mountain as well. But then, are you suggesting that like if it's all fake, then it's part of a huge like acting crew that goes down and films it, and it's all put forth in all these YouTube videos? Is that like your theory? If that's what you're saying, that all that's not real either, like they're all actors?
Anyone that says that they saw the 24-hour sun, they would be one of the actors. Yeah,
Yeah, this is what I mean. This is dumb.
I know
Well,
it's crazy for
that's why I
you.
was asking when you brought up the
This is
tears.
dumb, dude.
That's what I was saying with the tiers. If someone like discerning, if their discernment is correct or not correct on this one thing, what does that do to the tiers? That's why it came up originally.
Well, he goes at the bottom of the tier. That's what happens with this.
Yeah, dude, I'm at the bottom, dude. What happened with Aries failure, Jakushi?
Well, it's like when I hear Geo say like was it fake or not, right? Like you could get into various components of the trip of what they used to claim it was fake. Like that there was the biggest idea that the military was down there, or you couldn't go down there without being supervised. All that stuff you could still argue, right? But you're saying there's no 24-hour sun itself, right?
have you seen the GPS data? Does that look fake to you? Because to me, it looks fake.
Because the other stuff I'm willing to engage with it. Because I mean, I personally asked McToon, was there any military personnel down there? And right away when I asked him that, like with that arrogant tone, no, like a straight up no, like as if there's no doubt. And when I asked Witt said that, and he said no, that's not true at all because the Chilean army was down there. There was a few bases. Now, like there's not people with guns every corner of the fucking place, but still, there's still somebody down there. It's silly to think there's nobody down there, dude. Like, what do you think? You could just go commit murder down there and nothing will happen to you? This is silly.
But what follows from that? People down there, therefore what? Where were you going?
Well, the idea that this is the problem with where you question things. The idea that you could just go down there, it's a land that doesn't belong to anybody, and could roam it and do whatever you want. That idea is a lie, right? We know for a fact that for you to fly down there, you have to get basically a tourist visa or like a permission where they have to like fly you in and all that. So those are all supervised. Now, if you talk about going with a boat, I still don't think you could just grab a boat and just like go down there and do whatever you want, right?
No, you can't. You can't
Even
even take
Witsit
a
was
plane
saying
there.
like, well, even
You would
Witsit
have to
was
get
saying the
it
way they
approved
tell
on your
you.
flight. Oh, okay, you're still going.
Yeah, sorry. Even Witsit was saying even the way they tell you is that, well, it's for your safety. We don't want you to go to this area because we think it's dangerous, right? That's that's the way they would tell him. But the reality is there's still a governing body down there that's looking out for people. So you can't just do whatever the fuck you want. I did also ask, was there any human experiments or anything like that you saw down there? McToon is saying no. And
No, it would just be the situation would be that obviously the United Nations and the Antarctic Treaty System, because there's the Antarctic Treaty, but then there's the Antarctic Treaty System, and then there's the United Nation like blue hat, army dudes, and then there's there's not like military activity there, but there are like outposts and so on. So yeah, I mean they had like McMurdo. You can't really travel to McMurdo as a civilian, as you can't just like book a ticket and go. It's only for like either people that work there or military. And then there's the South Pole Station, Edmondson Scott Station. There are some trips that you can go there. ALE claims to have a camp there. And then there's the Union Glacier site. And then there's that company called White Desert from South Africa. And there's a few camps that they have, like what's claimed to be kind of on their side. Although most of theirs are not upwards of 80 degrees. So some of those you wouldn't really get a full 24-hour sun. I think one of them is like 69 degrees, 70. So you'd be like right on the border of getting a 24-hour sun. Anyway, so there's that site. And I think the only ones you can like travel to in a civilian way would be like the South Pole. There's some trips there, Union Glacier, and then that White Desert. So I mean, if anyone knows of any other places, but I think that's it. Other than McMurdo, which is really only for like personnel or people that are kind of approved to go there. So that's pretty limited. If you would imagine, like, let's say Antarctica is, the size of the United States or even larger, that would be like going to only 3 areas in the United States. It'd be like Miami, like just whatever, like name 3 places, and obviously those places, Union Glacier is not anywhere the size of Miami. It's like obviously just a campsite kind of setup. So when you think about how limited that access is, that now QOP might, or his viewpoint or his, take might be that like you can't, no one can go or whatever, and they're faking all of it. But from the perspective that people do go, it's still very limited, as to like what you could explore. So even if they have like underground stuff or who knows what else, like they could still be keeping all that from us.
yeah, see, I 100% agree with you, right? Like the first of all, when you go down there, like you're not exploring every inch of the land. So technically, if they are want to, if they want to hide something, they can, right? And you wouldn't know about it. So I could get along with those, ideas all night. But the problem is the sun itself, the 24-hour sun, that's observable, right? Like we're not talking about the experiments or the hidden campsites. Like all that is a different thing, right? We're strictly talking about the sun down there, right? And I think there's enough evidence that says that we have to assume there is a 24-hour sun down there. He's
Well,
saying there isn't, but
the whole thing was kind of a weird rollout though, because like if you have World War II, and I mean there are some like Antarctic explorers before all of that World War II that are claimed, but like since World War II, there wasn't really any like very many civilians going to Antarctica at all until like later years, like 80s, 90s, and there wasn't even trips you could take like the Union Glacier type trips until much more recent. I think there were some more selective ones like in the 90s and early 2000s that you could try to take trips there. But there wasn't even like the first footage of a 24-hour sun until 2014, and that's basically when flat Earth like erupted. So yeah, QOP might have his view. Everyone's going to have their different like takes on it all. But there's also the view that basically it was sort of kept from us, like limited access for decades. Like let's just say since World War II, like very limited access. And then whether someone thinks like the flat Earth conversation was put out on purpose or whether it was organic, either way, it's like 2014 was one of the first like footages around that time of an actual 24-hour sun there. And then those first couple 24-hour suns in Antarctica footages were pretty sketchy. Like they were looped and had some weird issues. And then meanwhile, the flat Earth thing is like erupting, and everyone, and with that whole idea of there's no 24-hour sun, and then as the years go on, I started seeing better, like more like footages of it that looked more legitimate, that were hard for me to debunk. Like in 2018, 2019, there were more footages coming out of people, a couple from McMurdo and a couple other ones that were starting to come out. And that's why I was more kind of just neutral on it. I'm like, okay, well, the early footages were pretty sketchy, but these later ones are, more difficult to debunk, for me. Like I wasn't able just to instantly be like, oh, it's fake for XYZ. So I kind of just held it like as a neutral. And then obviously, there's more Union Glacier trips now and more people going there skydiving and all that. So there's more footage. And then these TFE guys, or the TFE thing happened. Those guys went. So what I'm saying is that there's even a narrative of like a possible theory that the controllers, the powers that be, that there was some purposeful way in which that was orchestrated, like meaning limiting our access, having this kind of, it could, from one perspective, a false flat Earth model. At least part of it was false. I mean, the Earth is planar and stationary, but at least that kind of idea of it, which they then, kind of pushed with, and even having some of the sketchy videos at the beginning might have like fueled that. And then eventually, to have more and more evidence come through, and then now they're trying to like kill flat Earth forever kind of thing. I mean, even the name of it, Final Experiment, that whole idea of like, oh, we finally did it. Like now they didn't really get very many people to flip. So anyways, there's kind of like a way in which it could be seen that this was like an actual psyop, like the no 24-hour sun psyop with the semi-false flat Earth model that was then pushed to try to like let people be like, oh, is the Earth flat? The Earth is flat. Oh yeah, for a while, and then to try to debunk it with this or whatever, and then try to sink the whole ship with that incongruency with the 24-hour sun and the AE map, like to try to sink the whole ship. So that's like a whole nother angle, is that there was like an actual purposeful, like limiting our access, people finally being able to go, getting more validation of it, and then having that like flat Earth map be so pushed to where, even though like a lot of people do accept there's a 24-hour sun there and it didn't really flip everyone or whatever, so it didn't really have that effect. But anyways, I'm just laying out like that whole.
Well, I agree with half of what you're saying, and essentially that is that we know we have documents that the Nazis went to Antarctica, and it's safe to assume that at least with history, we know for a fact since World War II we've gone down there. But my point, back to what you were saying is, if they were hiding this from us, then it wasn't because I mean, I guess this is my opinion. I don't think it was because of flat Earth or, them hiding the 24-hour sun. I don't think those are the reasons. If they were hiding it, and we could assume that it was, is because they didn't want us to see what's going on down there, right? As far as the land, as far as like the experiments or whatever they were doing. I don't think it was because they were hiding the shape of the Earth or, a 24-hour sun. I don't think those
Well,
are the
how
reasons
many
why they
times
would
are you going to
prevent
say
you.
what you think without any arguments or evidence? It's like ridiculous.
That
Like,
is the argument. I just
we
gave
got
you the
your
argument.
position, dude. Normie position. Got it.
It's not a normie position. It's because you have to understand when you're saying
Yeah,
when you're
it is.
saying they were
So,
hiding this, you're talking
you
about
said,
humans. Hold on, man. You're talking about humans hiding this from, like, people in power hiding this from
yeah,
you as
yes,
another
they
human
hide
being, right?
things. Like, how
Okay,
do
well,
they know that we're
unfortunately,
not
humans don't have the
flat
power
Earth
to hide this
psyop?
from you. I'm sorry to tell
You
you
always talk, even though you're so stupid and like your shit is like extremely normy. You don't listen to any of the nuance of the things we talk about. You reiterate the most basic things. Like Q-Up's video he just shows a dot in the sky. Yet you think you can speak about these topics that are extremely nuanced. You before you said you're not a flat earther. So what is your position exactly?
that.
Let's
You
not,
said a
let's not
bunch of
get,
things.
let's not go personal if we could. I mean,
Ding, ding, ding. It's on. Come on.
It's not like
Yo.
ding, ding, ding. I mean, he doesn't have anything. I mean, I could decimate
I
anything.
don't have anything. Answer
You
something.
have nothing, dude. First of all, you haven't countered what I said about your video. So
Answer something I just said.
simply as that's
Are you a
put,
flat earther?
that
Let's
you're
start there. Are you
debunking
a
a
flat earther?
video, that you're debunking a video with a dot
Okay,
in
I'm
the
not
sky.
going to say this. He's not going to address anything.
Well, you don't want to attack the argument, right?
all right, well, let's just, all right, if you want to like try to like question him, I guess we could go like that personal thing. But I mean, Q-Up, what was your, did you want to respond to the larger like topic at hand, or?
No, I want to destroy this guy a million ways to stun
You're
him.
not destroying anything,
He's forced to answer my
You're not
question.
destroying anybody, dude.
Destroy him, dude.
You're not